Hi everybody, sanibonani. Welcome to my channel. Igama lami nguNtando Mdletshe, and on this channel siyasibuke ama-reality shows ethu ala eMzansi bese size la sizokhuluma ngawo lama shows siyaphinda sikhulume ngama-celebrities kanye nama-YouTubers ethu ala eMzansi. Today I want to talk a little bit about this article that has been written about Mthembu, but it's actually about what she said on the interview that she did on a podcast. I think it's called Engineer Your Life, where she's just talking about her life and talking about being on Real Housewives. And there's a lot of things that she talks about on that interview. I am still to watch the full interview so that I can do the full review on it. But I want to talk about this one thing that she talks about here. Guys, I'm a housewives azokuxaka. Okay, because they would act like they don't like a person while the person is there on the show, and then the person leaves and they're like, actually we miss her. And first it was Unonko who was talking about how much she wishes that the old cast could come back, that she was missing Abola LaChonco, Olondi London, and who else, Makumalo. I guess she wasn't feeling the new cast, the new combination of cast members, and she was feeling like she wishes that the old cast could come back, which really was a surprise to me, especially when it comes to Lassie, because none of those ladies really wanted to Lassie around, especially when we were moving towards the end of season 2. I think even though the main reason for getting rid of Ulasi was the fact that she really didn't want to share details of her private life, especially when it came to her relationship with the former president. I feel like part of it was just the fact that they had taken that stand so good to Bona. They're not going to shoot with Ulasi because they did not trust her, and they believed that she had lied about some things, and they basically bullied her out of the show. Okay. So now it really surprises me to see them now come back and say they miss her, they wish that she was still part of the show. But we are going to go through this article here to hear what Ueni is saying about Ulasi, what has changed her mind about wanting Ulasi around, guys. So this article is written by Unoktula Ngobo. Thank you so much, Unoktula. And she wrote it for the South African. Okay, it says, I was still growing up. RHOD's Mthembu on how she treated Ulasi. Okay. Businesswoman and Real Housewives of Durban star Mthembu reflected on how she treated the former cast member Nonkanyiso LaChonco during the second season of the reality series Real Housewives of Durban. During her sit down with Lungelo KM on his YouTube podcast called Engineer Your Life, Annie says she could have been a bit softer and be more understanding. Annie, who is married to the business magnate Huluda Mthembu, was always perceived as the villain in the first and second season for always calling a spade, sometimes to her detriment. LaChonco, baby mama to the baby mama and ex-fiance of a former South African president, Jacob Zuma, was always guarded and private, something that irked Annie and made her feel uncomfortable. As a result, the two ladies often clashed about who Lassie was in a romantic relationship with, where she lived, and other issues. It's funny to me that they found it to be bothersome to them that Lassie wasn't talking about her relationship, but even them, they don't talk about their relationships. We just see their husbands there, but we don't really get to hear anything about their relationships. The only thing that we know about their relationships with their husbands is that their husbands are never there, especially Annie knows Sorish. But they never really get into how their relationships are like, what they deal with in their relationships, the issues that they have in their relationships. Nothing like that. So they're actually in the same position as Ulasi, except we do see their husbands there. Okay, during one of the episodes, Annie outright said that she cannot continue to spend time with someone she does not know very well, describing her as a mystery. Okay, however, this season, Annie is spending time with Usane, Annie is spending time with Maria, Annie is spending time with Usli, but she also doesn't know them very well. It's interesting to see it. Okay, however, Lacey did not budge and kept her personal life private. Honestly, I feel like at this point, I feel like Ulasi probably doesn't regret doing that, because imagine now if she had shared everything about her relationship and then she ended up getting kicked off the show. We'll be talking about her business when she's no longer part of the show, okay? But I do also feel like it was weird that you are in a reality show, but we don't even get to know anything about your life. And it wasn't really the husband issue or the fiance issue. It was also just her family, her mother, her sisters. She wasn't showing any of it. Okay. Looking back, Annie told Lungelo that she now understands where Lassie was coming from. Okay. I've always admired her. She's very resilient. When she has a plan or something she wants to do, she executes it. And she's a very tunnel visioned person. She is that girl. One thing about Lassie, guys, I feel like she used the opportunity with Real Housewives of Durban very well. She's one of the housewives that came on the show not moneyed, okay? And after that she has like multiple jobs on TV. Okay, she's one housewife that is working more than any other. Okay, so I feel like it helped her to be on the show. Okay, so her strategy might have actually worked. I don't know if it's a matter of apologizing, but maybe my mindset has softened a little bit in a way to say, okay, I see what you were trying to do with being more private. My only thing is that on RHOD, it's not really a platform for privacy, Annie said, but you have managed to be very private, Annie. Because why are we finding out about your husband's alleged affair outside of the show instead of us finding out about it on the show? Okay, so everybody is private somewhat. Okay, she, however, I highlighted that she and LaChonco never really gelled on and off screen. I honestly think that Ulasi tried, you guys. You remember when she even did that when they showed that scene where Ulasi went to Annie's house to try and teach her to make umqombothi, because obviously Annie is married to a Zulu family, and Ulasi was like, listen, one day they're going to ask you to make umqombothi, so let me show you. So I think that Ulasi made efforts, but I think that Annie was never opened to a friendship. It's the same as Unoko has wanted so much to be Annie's friend, and Annie was never really open to it. So yeah, you guys, I don't think that it was both ways that they didn't gel. I just feel like it was more Annie that did not want a friendship with Ulasi. I think because of the space I was in, the way in which I was growing, I was unable to empathize with her and when she was coming from and where she was coming from, because I was still growing up, she explained. One thing I will give to any of you guys, especially with this coming out and her talking about this in an interview, it's a good thing when a person can look back and say, listen, maybe I did not do that correct, because then it's just an indication that a person is growing and that they're willing to see their mistakes and maybe fix them going forward. So it is a good thing that she can say that, listen, I didn't treat this person right, you guys. But it does irritate me a little bit that, this is happening after they've already kicked them off the show. I do feel like with Ulasi being mentioned here and there by different cast members when they say that they miss her on the show, there is a chance that the producers might think maybe it's a good idea to bring her back. However, you guys, Lassie is booked and busy, okay? She is booked and busy, so she might not even take an offer to come back to the show. Why would you come back to such a dramatic show? When you can just go, you're going to show like Ungane Yami, where you don't have to argue with anybody. However, you guys, like I said when I was doing that video about Nonku getting her own show, Real Housewives has a bigger reach. I feel like it has the biggest reach actually for anybody to do, because it's not just being viewed here but overseas as well. since it was picked up by Bravo. So if I was Lassie and they were approaching me to come back, I would definitely come back and ask for more money and then put my own terms, which I actually don't want to talk about this and this and that, but I will talk about this and this and that, and this is the money that I want. So if they approach her, I hope that she's ready to do some great negotiations there. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like it before Pumegona, share it with your friends, with your family, and even with strangers. And Ntando kakhulu.